Hey, good morning. Welcome. My name is Stephanie. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. Really, all you need is you, but we are going to do a little bit of everything, really. A little bit of movement, a little stretch, a little bit of time on most body parts. So if you need a cushion for your knees when you come in table, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, work your way onto your tummy into a yoga nap. So take your time to get there. Lengthen through your legs, so we're creating some space for the low back. Wiggle your pelvis side to side so that we're creating some neutral support for the front. And either rest your cheek and ear down or resting your forehead is actually quite nice to reset your neck and taps into your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in your body that helps with our rest and digest. It helps the nervous system calm. Just coming onto your tummy or into a pose where you are more likely to close your eyes is kind of the first step to calming down and coming in. So wherever you are, just follow the breath as it comes and goes naturally. And then embrace a breath where you feel the breath kind of at the tip of your nose where it's cool and warmth as it comes and goes. And then bring your awareness to your breath, but less from your brain, more from your body. So as we pause just for a couple breaths, see if you can feel and encourage an expansion, reception on the inhale, your lungs fill. And when you exhale, your lungs empty. So bringing our awareness to deeper parts, literally and figuratively. And then if you did turn your head to the side, just remember what side you're on for when we come back here. Bring your forehead to neutral. And think about something positive, a wish, a hope, an intention, something you would like to come back to help encourage you to focus on the present, the moment of awareness, of gratitude. And then you'll press into your forearms and palms, coming into Sphinx. Now, in general, it's elbows in line with shoulders, but you might want to go a little bit wider with your elbows. If you have any impingements on your shoulder, you might go a little bit wider with your legs, depending on how your low back is feeling. And then yawn, smile, free up some tension that knowingly or unknowingly we hold in our face and our jaw. And then as you exhale, engage the pelvic floor, lower belly, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. So you're coming into like a cat spine. Shoulders draw away from your ears. I had to remind mine because they like to come up. And then when you inhale, fill up your lungs, your belly presses to the floor, you lift your chest and your chin, just a subtle cow. And then now feel it with your breath instead of thinking it. So your exhale, you're going to pull the belly in, curve your spine like a cat. And then your inhale is a little bit of a heart opening back bend. Just one or two more like that. It's a really great way of connecting with your breath, of getting the energy to flow, to wake things up, but also to kind of find some resilience, some space, literally and figuratively, between our joints, our vertebra, some of the tightness of our pelvis and our shoulders. And when you come back to neutral, pause for a moment, take a peek over your shoulder. Maybe you have somebody there. Maybe you can just pretend and smile at them. Bring a chin towards your shoulder, towards your chest, and then up and over towards the opposite shoulder. Add another smile, wish, hope for someone, perhaps this time for someone you don't know. And then when you come back to center, see if you can just shift a little bit onto your left. We're coming into half frog on the right. So you're just going to encourage your right knee to come out to the side. And then pause for at least a moment in the half sphinx, half frog. We'll come back to this. But if you can, I'd like you to go on to a cheek and ear, and perhaps it's your opposite one. So if it's your right knee, put your right cheek and ear down so you're looking to the left. And if you don't need your arms, bring them out to the side, a T or a cactus. Again, just a couple of breaths. This may not be comfortable for you because we're not used to being on our tummy. You can keep your hands underneath your shoulders or even arms underneath you in half sphinx. It's all about listening to you as we're just extending outward just a little bit, breath by breath. And then if you did turn your head to the side, as you press into your forearms, you'll bring everything back into neutrality, belly, heart, and head, half frog, half sphinx. And then keep your arms where they are, heart where it is. Engage that low belly. Bring your right leg back to meet your left. So you're coming into a regular Sphinx. Just a breath. You might feel a little bit of subtle differences on one side versus the other, just from a couple of breaths in a different posture. And then just release your upper body down. Most likely, you don't have to, depending on your low back, but it's a little bit nicer to your low back if you do when you bend your knees. Just do a little windshield wiper side to side. And then a circle. You bring your ankles away to the side, down towards the back of your mat, over to the other side, and then do the other direction, the sun and the moon, yin and yang. When you come back together, just wiggle your toes, wiggle your ankles, get some connection with all of you. And then you'll straighten your legs down, coming into a cobra. So the top of your feet pressed down. I like to rest my shoulders back, my forehead down, elbows up. Hands come really close to your, kind of outside of your bra line. And then try not to press in your hands. Just press into the top of your feet, squeeze through your inner ankles, inner thighs, lower belly, lift your chest on an inhale. And then slowly lowering down. A lot of times the head gets in the way, literally and figuratively. So try to, again, go deeper into your breath, into your center, into your heart. Your head should follow. It should not be the leader. One more time, and depending on how you're feeling, you can pause and stay for a breath or two with your hands on the floor. You can soften the hands so that they're barely there, or you could hover them off the floor, and that's going to give you a lot of information on if we're dumping or if we're lifting. And I don't know about you, but I find myself being a dump truck, and I'm really trying not to. Right? I'm trying to be a recycle truck. So inhale, lift up a little higher, then exhale, just soften. Now you're going to tuck your toes, and we're going to play a little bit of some forward and back. So your cobra is your inhale, lifting your chest, press into your hands, shift your weight back, a closed knee, child's pose. Your head's not going to touch yet. Shift your weight forward until you can't go any farther. Bend into your elbows and lower down. And then keep your toes tucked if you can. Lift through the belly and your chest. Press up and back. Sink your hips back towards your heels. And then begin again. So you're shifting forward. You have a nice balance of energy. Not too much, not too little. We're opening up, practicing a little bit of that chaturanga. The next time you shift forward, we're going into your cobra, into a regular closed knee child's pose without your toes tucked. So you'll lift your chest, shift your hips up and back. And if that's too much on your knees, you can bring your knees wider, or you can say, forget it, Stephanie, I'm going to stay on my tummy. But if you can for a moment, curl into the shell, this folded leaf. Arms can stay in front of you or go back behind you, but the importance is, again, to come inside, to tune in, to channel you, less static. A little bit of compression in the front body so that we can create space in the back body. One more slower, deeper breath. Try to breathe into the back of your heart, into the low back, kidney area, as well as the belly. And then I want you to press to the top of your feet. Engage the low belly. You're just going to lift up your upper body. If it's all right for your body, sit up into what we call hero's pose. Draw your shoulders down and back. This is a little stretch to the top of your feet. It's also really great for your digestion. So, you know, our normal gut and digestion is so important, but it's also important that we digest other things that are in our internal landscape and our external landscape. So coming up to a camel, that's going to guide you into a table. So knowing what works for you, if you can come into camel, you shift forward onto your shins and your knees. Tailbone draws kind of straight down, so you're not really pushing your hips forward. You're steady with your lower half, and then we're lifting up your belly, chest, chin, shoulders draw down, elbows draw in. Then you keep extending down and up, getting a back bend that works for you. I kind of like fists towards the sacral area. You can always reach a hand to a hamstring, or if you have a wall behind you, you could press hands to a wall. It's a really great heart-opening back bend, energizing your prana, the energy within you. Engage the low belly. Go right into a mad cat. So separate your ribs, separate your fingers, arch your back, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. Press into your fingertips. And then super slow, of course, adjust what you need to, because we don't always land where we're supposed to be. Sometimes we need to make some adjustments. But then come into a very slow cow and sit with it. Let your belly drop. Breathe into your belly. Breathe into your heart. Here's another back bend. And then let something roll off your back as you move from the pelvic floor, lower belly, the tailbone tucks. You go lower back, middle back, upper back into your cat. And then just one more of those. You can do cows and cats anywhere. We did it on your tummy and your sphinx. We're doing it on hands and knees. You can do it sitting at your desk. It's a great way of kind of waking things up and keeping you fluid so we're not so constricted. Now, when you come back to a neutral table, which means your back is flat and straight, your low belly is engaged, just wag your tail, wiggle your hips one direction, look over your shoulder towards it. Come back to center, same thing other side. And then do it one more time and think less about what you're doing, but feel it. How is it to feel into one rib cage versus the other? Pull that lower belly in, gazes forward. A lot of times the chin wants to tuck, so try not to tuck your chin. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, when you do come back to neutral, keep that same core engagement, a little garden gate here. So you're trying to keep your gaze forward in front of your fingers. You're bending into the right knee and lifting it out to the side and controlling it back in. Lifting it out to the side and controlling it back in. Strengthening the inside and the outside of your hip and your glute. The next time you bring your right knee in, slide it up towards the sky a little bit and flex through your foot. Just press your foot up towards the ceiling, trying to get the glute to wake up. And then when you straighten your right leg, flex through your foot still. Put your foot down first, shift a little forward and back. And then lift up your right leg. Take a peek and make sure that your toes are pointing down so you're not turning out. And then you can lift up your left arm if you choose. You can also just soften the fingertips on the left. You can close your eyes. Can you find yourself balanced here in an unstable place? One of the best ways to strengthen your center. If you are lifting up an arm and a leg and you feel comfortable, you can bend into your right knee, reach your left hand back, see if you find your foot. You can just have energy reaching toward your foot. You don't have to grab it. If you do have it, take a peek over your shoulder on the right, take a peek over your shoulder on the left. And then go ahead and plant your hands, tuck your toes, shift your knees up a little bit off the floor to engage that low belly. And then shift your hips up and back. Walk your hands forward just an inch or two. You're going into a crouch dog. So your hands are pressing forward, shoulders are pulling back. Thighs are squeezing in with your knees bent. Tailbone slides up. The more you lift up your hips, the more you lift up your heels. And then very slowly take your dog for a walk, which means pause. Feel the stretch in the Achilles and the calf, all the way up the hamstring and the glute, all the way diagonally across your body. Once you've had a chance to move a little bit, pause for a moment, look ahead, and let's walk our feet up towards our hands, starting with your right foot. You may bend your knees as much as you need to. You can tent your fingertips or put them on blocks. But slowly walk your feet up to your hands towards the top part of your mat. Then press your shins into your hands into your shins to come up halfway, that Ardha Uttanasana, flat back. More weight on your toes. Close your eyes and find yourself tipsy and being okay. Keep the length of your spine, fold in and gently shake your head yes to something. Let your arms just dangle, or you can cup them. Say no to something. If your hands or fingertips touch the floor of the blocks, bend into one knee and then the other, just really giving yourself a chance to check in. Breathe in, breathe out, looking for where there's some tension and not running away from it. Freeing it up, repurposing. And then look ahead, bend into your knees, coming into your Utkatasana, your chair pose. Once your tailbone drops, maybe wiggle a little side to side. Bring your hands towards your heart. And then stand up tall, arms by your side. Find your mountain. Ideally, your feet are in line with your knees, in line with your hips. Toes lift, separate, press down. Fingers pressing away from each other, palms forward. Close your eyes. Feel the energy of the earth traveling down and then traveling all the way up to the crown of your head. As you root through your feet, the energy still, like we did in your cobra, zips all the way up your center. Circle your arms up, bringing in some positive thoughts and energy. Hands will come to your heart, stay there, or go to your hips. Press into your right foot. Start to lift up your right hip
Drop your left, lift up your left knee. Find your steadiness. Maybe put your foot down and back up on purpose or not. Straighten your leg for a moment, bend into your knee, shoot energy back through your left foot, hinge from your hip, your heart goes forward. Can you balance? Can you feel some softness? Can you pull that right hip back? Bend into your right knee more as you land in a warrior one. Your left foot's going to kind of wiggle out to the side, toes out to the left. And then arms come up, wider shoulders, a little bit nicer on your shoulders. You can play with bending your elbows and keeping those shoulder blades down. And if it's all right with your shoulders, palms face each other. So we keep the energy, right? It resonates between your palms and travels up and down. And we will bring your palms together towards your heart and then back behind you. Reach for your elbows, for your wrists, straighten through your right leg. Lift the belly and the chest, a little subtle back bend as you hinge from your hip coming forward into your pyramid. So the right foot's pressing forward, big toe presses down, you get the inner thigh, hip pressing back. Hey, hamstring, soften through the knee, even feel a little lift of the kneecap. Sitting with it and then bending into your right knee, press through the back heel to help rise you up back to warrior one. Wiggle fingers and toes, move your jaw. Where'd you get stuck? No judge, just notice. Witness. Hands to your heart. Let's spiral and twist towards the right. Arms can stay at your heart or you can send them back behind you. And if you would like a back bend, you can bring your hand behind your back and lift your left arm up. Gaze can stay down towards your shoulder, towards the earth to steady you. If you want to test your steadiness, look up towards your left hand. Drop your shoulder. Mine was trying to lift. If you really want to test your steadiness, close your eyes. One more breath. And as you straighten through the right leg, push the foot forward, hip back, shift forward like you're going to reach and grab somebody and say, hey, I love you. And then twist. Twisting just from the belly, right? Your pelvis, we're not low back, we're not twisting. Just a little look over your shoulder. Arm can stay behind you if you like. Bend into your right knee. Plant your hands. Slide your left leg back. Bring your left knee down. Come into a low lunge and say, oh, here I am. This feels pretty good. Shift your weight forward. Plant your hands. Untangle your right knee next to your left knee. Let's do a little chaturanga push-up. Bend into your elbows. Press straight up. Gaze is forward. Chin is off your chest. Once, twice, 3 times. And then we go all the way back onto your tummy, that yoga nap. We begin again. So you can wiggle your hips again. If you put your head down one side, try the other. If your forehead, you're good to go. And then when you do pause, what do you see? What do you hear? Where does your awareness go? And then what can we do with that information? We can celebrate those things that feel good and feel right, but we can also appreciate those areas where we might feel stuck or tense or the conversations we have in our head and redirect them. So come back to your intention, to your positive thoughts, come back to your heart. And then we'll meet back up in your Sphinx, forearms and palms. Wiggle so that you've got the openness of your shoulders, the length through the spine. Legs can go longer and wider. Be nice to you. Be kind. Now you choose, when we're in the Sphinx, you can just stay as you are. If you like seal's where you have closer but wider, straighter arms. Sometimes seal's okay on my back. Sometimes it's more than I need. So that is an option. You also have a couple of breaths if you wanted to revisit the cow and the cat spine, where your belly presses towards the floor, your chest and chin lift on an inhale, your belly pulls in, you tucking your tailbone and arching your back. So close your eyes and tap into your core, your center. Your wisdom is inside. We're kind of getting out of that peripheral external environment for this time on our mat. And learning how to appreciate that when we're off our mat. Not to get sucked into everything. Place to pause if you moved.
And then we come into half frog on the other side. So it'll be your left knee or whatever your opposite is that goes out to the side. I usually give mine a little bit of extra help, with the inner thigh, inner knee. If you come back to this and want to do more, you could put the blanket or something underneath your knee, play with your foot. My hands automatically go to prayer. You can't go wrong there. So find yourself light and lifted, at least for a breath or two, knowing we're going to come back here. And if you did lay down and put your right cheek and ear down last time, see if you can press your left cheek and ear down. Notice how that changes what you feel. A little closer to the earth. Use that nourishing energy to ground you, to help you tap into your sense of calm, of self, of hope. And then if you did fold in, once again, coming back into your Sphinx, forearms and palms, half frog, half Sphinx. And then engaging that low belly, possibly going over a little bit to the left or to the right to free up your left leg to bring it back, but wiggle a little bit. See how you're feeling. Could you bend a knee? Could you straighten it and try the other side? If that impinges on your low back, forget about it. Don't do it again, or lay your upper body down. If you feel okay, you could bend into both knees and get this into a back bend. If you really were feeling great, you could put your foot on your hands on your feet. Can't quite imagine? You can do a little windshield wiper. The same yet different as before. And then if you lifted your legs, we're going to elevate our arm back down. Legs will come close together. So this is your cobra. 3 slow breaths, whether you want to rise and fall just naturally or encourage it. Top of your feet press down, forehead presses down, shoulders and elbows back. Your inhale, we lengthen and lift, and your exhale, you soften. So feeling that inner strength, and it's the strength of the spine of what's behind you that's helping your heart shine. We can take that off of our mat as well, right? Everything that came before this moment brought you to right where you are. Let your heart continue to guide you. Now we tuck your toes and we get into that little bit of movement, a little bit of playfulness. So toes tuck, belly lifts, chest lift, a little bit more hands have to work. Shift your hips back, hips towards your heels. And again, you can always pause and stay in a child's pose. Otherwise, shift your weight forward, belly lifts, bend your elbows, lower down. Keep your toes tucked, lift your heart, a little up, cobra. Shift your hips up and back, down dog. One more time, just like that, shifting forward, bending into your elbows, getting that heart opening back bend if you like, shifting back. This next time, really make sure that we get the top of your feet down this time, come into a bigger cobra, shift your hips up and back, that folded leaf, just a couple of breaths, just trying to revisit where we've been, what we've gained on the way, what we've let go of. And then we'll go from here into your camel, that heart-opening back bend. So now we've been there. Did that work for you? Fantastic. You want to go right to table? Fantastic. But root from the earth. Feel the traveling of the energy, inner ankle, inner thigh, lower belly. The heart lifts. The chest opens. Breath is strong. You could bring an arm out to the side. You could switch. Bring another arm out to the side. See if you can get a little bit more of the sternum, the heart going up without compressing. The low back. And then coming into your table, I like to go and inhale camel, exhale cat, just to move with the flow of energy. Try to have your index fingers facing forward, eye of your elbow facing inward, so that we line up our muscles and our bones so that we can feel stable and fluid. Once you've done a couple of cows and cats, that neutral spine, at least one wagging of your tail side to side. Breathing into your side ribs. We'll do a little bit more next week on your side body. I'm already scheming. When you come back, here's your garden gaze. So you got to pull that lower belly in so your back is flat. Press into your hands. Gaze is forward. Left knee is bent as it extends out. And you pull it back in. So really think about pressing away, pulling it back in without dumping into the right side. Soften on the fingers. When you do bring your left knee back in, you're shooting it up towards the stars, flexing through your foot like you're pushing your foot up towards the stars.
Getting the glutes to squeeze, encourage that glute engagement, and then straighten your left leg. I like to push the toes down just for that stretch and stability. And then as you lift up your left leg, you might peek in between your arms and legs. Make sure that we are neutral, toes are down. Stay there. Soften right fingers or extend your right arm. Try to close your eyes. Find your steadiness. Find comfort where you're not necessarily comfortable. Embrace those little wiggles, that body's ability to reset itself. To always come back to that center. If you are okay here and you lifted a leg and maybe an arm, bend into your left knee, you could reach your right hand back for your foot. It could just be shooting energy back. Sometimes that's way better than grabbing the foot. Look over one shoulder, look over the other shoulder, come back, plant your hands, tuck your toes, walk your hands forward, shift your hips back already, lift your belly, hover your knees, and then keep lifting up the hips as your knees are bent, pressing hands forward, just very slowly waking up into a downward dog. We only have 2 of these today, so take your time to be there, to feel a bending of the knee and stretching to the opposite. To feel that extension from head to tailbone to heel. And then this time when you look ahead, we're walking forward with your left foot leading the way. Depending on how long your legs are, you might need to bend them a little or cup your fingertips. But once you get to the top part of your mat, press your shins into your hands, come forward, lift your chest, your belly, maybe your heels. Pause. Fold over into your Uttanasana. Flip your palms up if they touch. If you gather the elbows, switch them. Very slowly, just bend into one knee and then the other, trying to stay shifted a little forward with your heart and your feet. And then releasing, coming into your Utkatasana, strong and steady, your chair pose, dropping the tailbone, dropping the ribs, lifting your chest, sitting back a little bit more. And then as your hands come to your heart, you press through your feet, Samastahiti, to your mountain, your Tadasana. Adjust what you need so you feel steady and strong. Root through your feet, any traveling up and down. Perhaps you'll keep your eyes closed. You circle your arms up, hands go to your heart, possibly to your hips. Press through your left foot. Keep the left hip lifting because it's going to want to drop if it's like mine. Lift your right heel, right knee. Stay there. You might extend and bend your knee. Shift your weight forward. As you shift your right leg back, flex your foot, squeeze your hips, bend your left knee, land into Warrior One. So wiggle your left toe left, right toes right. Same thing with your hips, squaring them off, really feeling that left hip pulling back. Arms circle up. You decide the distance that they need to stay. Can you feel balanced here? Can you feel strong in your warrior? Peaceful warrior. Maybe walk that left foot a little bit more forward. Hands are going to come to your heart. Where you're checking in. Bring your arms back behind you, straighten through your front leg. A little bit of a back bend as you press your feet away. Hinge from your hip, coming forward, your pyramid. You can always keep your hands on the floor. Try to shift your shin a little forward, hip a little back. Hello, hamstring. And press through the feet, bend into the left knee, rise back up to your Warrior One. This time as your hands come to your heart, we're twisting towards the left. So again, just the heart goes to the left. You keep your hands at your heart or extend them. If you did extend, a little bit of support for a back bend, play with your gaze. Down, inward, upward, all the above. And then straighten through your left leg. Hinge from your hip forward, forward, forward until you can't go any farther. Right hand to floor, to shin, to block. A table can be handy. Pull the left hip back. Know that you can always keep your hand behind your back. Sometimes that helps open up your heart and shoulder more. Otherwise, palm and face same direction. And then start to bend into your left leg. Plant your hand. Slide your right leg back and down, right knee down. Come back for just a little bit of a lift of the heart into a low lunge. Nice little psoas stretch. And then plant your hands, swing your left knee to beat your right, 3 chaturanga push-ups, and we land on our tummy. So shift forward, bend your elbows, lead with your heart, feel your strength.
Embrace your resilience. And then lower down. Release your breath, release your head, wiggle your hips, release your back. And then check in. Where are you? Feel the beat of your heart. Maybe some warmth. We did a little stretch, a little bit of movement, a little pause, a little balance. Then you choose. You want to stay here. You want to roll over onto your back, give yourself a hug. If you would like to work your way to a seat to close your practice, you get a chance to get into another cobra, one last heart opening back bend. And if you create a seat, let it be yours, what feels supportive, whether legs are bent or straight. I always have to wiggle a little side to side, forward and back, so that I'm not stuck in a tuck, which is pretty easy to do. But wherever you're at, feel the lightness, the lift of your heart. If your arms are free, gathering up some of this positive energy that's around. And then connecting your palms, connecting this energy from the external, the positive, with your mind, with your words, with your heart. As we always take a moment to bow our heads with grace and gratitude for you, for your presence, for your practice, for all that you are. Namaste, friends. And thanks so much for joining me in this gentle yoga practice. Time flies when you're having fun, but there's all kinds of classes you can take on demand, really, with their YouTube at Y Detroit. We also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at YMCA Detroit. So thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Cheers.